about to have my dog surgically inseminated in a couple of days. Can you give us a quick rundown on how to keep the dog nice and healthy during pregnancy, along with the vitamins I should be using? Well, okay, so from when you've done the AI, give 5 milligrams of folic acid, and there's no specific kind of folic acid. Folic acid is folic acid. 5 milligrams every day from when you AI until she has puppies. And as far as vitamins, I mean, what we give is a regular pet tab type vitamin, kind of general vitamins, fine. And you know, you don't want a skinny dog. She may lose her appetite last 10 days of whelp, in which case Biljack works really well for us as something to help them out with. Smoking Czar. I AI'd on April 17th and April 20th. What day should I start counting? I'm thinking I'm going to do my first reverse PG on day 55, 57. No, I wouldn't do that. It's going to cost you money you don't need to spend. So you didn't tell us what the progesterone levels were on day 17, but we'll just assume that you were at about the right place, which would be a progesterone level around 15 on IDEX. In which case then you roll forward 61 days, takes you to June the 17th. So I would start taking a temperature about 5-6 days before that, so around the 11th. And watch for a temperature which will be something close to 100 when you start taking it, and will drop down slowly each day. And when you get to about 99.2, I do your first progesterone test. But I've got a whole video on this, so just go look through that video. It explains it all in some detail. Celind, I watched your Frenchie videos. What is a blue Sable dog? I'm confused. Is it AYAT little d little d? Yes, you got it right. That's exactly what it is. So a dog that is AYAY, well, the dog that's little d is blue. A dog that is AYAY would be a fawn version of that. A dog that is ATAT or ATA would be a tan-pointed version of that. And a dog that's AYAT is a sable version of that. Unless brindle is present, and then it's just a blue brindle and nothing else matters. Joel Fanjul, something that a lot of vets recommend, and I have some doubts about, is not bringing your dog on a first heat. So, the answer to this one is I recommend that your dog is at least a year old before you breed it. Some dogs, their first heat is after they're a year old. Go ahead and breed the dog. Some dogs have already had a heat, maybe as soon as day 6, in which case, day 6, 6 months old, way too young to be breeding a dog. So the general, yes. So the general rule is you want a dog that's most of its full weight, that is acting like an adult dog. And so that varies by dog, but generally, I've bred a lot of dogs when they've been something between they're on their first heat when they're a year and a half old without any trouble. So, what company website, Andy Ortiz asked, do you use for your kennel panels? Animal Genetics. And why do we use Animal Genetics? Not because of their price, they're all about the same, but because they are much, much faster than anybody else. Typically, Animal Genetics will give you the results within a few days if you get in their samples to them, much, much quicker. Some places like VetGen, I don't know how they are these days, but they'd be taking a couple of months. And you know, there's no way that that's gonna be particularly useful for you, because puppies are probably left by them. Elisa Trevino asking about taping puppies' legs up. Will that fix a flat chest? Absolutely. Because the reason for a flat chest is typically because they're not getting up on their feet. You tend to see this in larger litters with a great milk supply. When you've got, smaller litters with a mum that's got great milk supply, when the puppies don't have to compete with each other, and they're just laying there, just sucking away all day long, and they just start to swim around and they get really lazy. Tape their legs up.
Fat and lazy.
Fat and lazy, right? Exactly. Not a good thing, right, Tammy?
No.
When do you recommend taping legs? When do you start taping legs up, Tammy?
Well, we started taping your legs up when you were about 30.
Am I? Of the two things, fat and lazy, which one am I?
Neither.
Yeah, but it's amazing how well this works, and it's amazing
it's
how
usually at 4 and 5 weeks.
yeah, eyes are open and they're walking around. That's about the point. I mean, there's no point taping their legs up until it expects to be walking around, and that's after their eyes are open. So we're at
The sooner you get to it, the faster that they recover from it.
Yes. So specifically, if you've got a litter where you've got 1 or 2 puppies that are walking around and the others aren't, tape the other ones up because they should be walking around.
Yeah. And if they keep on taking it off, the other puppy's taking it off, put it back on, put it back on. It gets boring, but you got to put it back on. And if you have to shrink the size of the litter, put them in different cages so you can keep that tape on there better.
Break them up into 2 litters.
Yeah, break them up in 2 litters.
So then the next question people ask is, how long do you leave it on for?
3 days is.
I mean, as long as it takes, right?
Yeah.
Typically, if you do it early, it's really quick.
You'll notice that when they start to stand, they're actually pulling their little hips up and in, so they can stand. And then they start doing that for about 3 days. They've got it down pretty good.
Or even less.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been in situations where you've got a puppy in there that's a big fat puppy. The rest of them are up on their legs walking around. He's not walking around. You tape his legs up, man, within minutes. Yeah. He can't move without getting up on his legs.
If you'll notice, when you're helping them stand without the tape, that they actually learn how to use their hips as they're getting up.
Yes.
And I do that just laying there, sitting there, watching them move around in the cage, and I'll help them do that.
Right.
And they get the hang of it, and they realize, hey, you know.
The secret to this is get started. There's nothing you can do that's going to mess anything up.
With the ears.
The same with the ears. If you've got puppies where some of the puppies' ears are up and some of them are flopped back down, start taping those puppies' ears up.
And that's usually at 5 weeks you want to start doing it.
Yeah. And what you might find, sometimes you'll get all the ears are up, they'll get their shots at 6 weeks and some ears will flop down. Wait a day on that. Yeah. That's probably just because of that.
Or when you're weaning them from mama, their ears will flop down.
They get a bit fussy.
Whatever they get upset with, their ears are going to flop down. Right. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
But they always come up. But you got to help it.
So what is the gene for the black dog that doesn't carry brindle? So there's lots of answers here that I don't like, but here's the answer I'm going to give you. A black dog is a dog that doesn't have brindle, that is not blue or cream or chocolate.
It's an AA.
That'll be a black dog. Yeah, it'll be, so you can have, I've got to back that up.
It can have brindle.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it sure can have brindle.
Well, you just said the right thing there. A black dog that's not brindle will either be AA or ATA or ATAT. So it'll be
I think there's been AA brindles. I really do.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
Yeah.
You might be right about that.
I think Annette told me that one time.
Yeah, you might be right about that. It's one of those things I don't know.
Our sweet Annette.
Yes, she's not with us anymore. We love Annette.
Miss her.
Miss her a lot. But the point here is that if you want a black dog that's not brindle, then it can't be blue, it can't be chocolate, it can't be cream. You can have a copy, but it can't be 2 copies of any of those things. And it's either got to be AA, which will make it a solid black dog, or ATA or ATAT, which will make it a black and tan.
Yeah.
Tammy's not crazy about black and tan. I like them myself. Don't like them?
They're real dominant on passing that color, and I'm just, I like my other colors.
So, Brenda Orlando commented on how to take puppies' ears so they stand up, said, such a cruel breed. Why? What's cruel about? Frenchies are the least cruel breed that's out there.
Oh my gosh.
What would be
they get along with everything.
What's a cruel breed, Tammy?
A cool breed?
A cruel.
Cruel breed?
Yes.
Oh my, well.
Maybe she meant cool and not cruel. Maybe she spelled it
I bet she said cool.
Well, let's just go with cruel. What's a cruel breed?
Well, no, I don't want to do that.
Oh, you don't want to do that?
I don't want to do that. I don't want to start a little war with
Well,
somebody.
I would say this. That dog that's on Harry Potter.
Oh, no. Now, there's some real sweetheart mastiffs, too, James. James, quit just naming some dogs here. You're going to get in trouble.
How do you warm fresh chilled for breeding? So the answer is you don't need to warm it up. When it gets to you, it's going to be cold because it's chilled. Just take it out of the container and it will warm up within minutes to room temperature, which is plenty good enough. So there's nothing special you have to do to warm chilled. And let's see what the replies say. So, for where Sir American Bulldogs says, I bring it to room temperature by holding it up in my hand or putting it in my shirt pocket. I wonder if that's the best way. Absolutely fine, no problem at all. But, I mean, the point here is that it's very important that you cool it slowly when you chill it. And that's the job of the person who's collecting the dog. And that is super critical. If you just plunge it into cold right away, you will shock the semen and probably ruin it all. The other end of it's not critical at all. There's nothing has to be done. The only thing that I would do though is if you're collecting fresh semen from a dog to breed right there and then, and it's a cold day, I'd absolutely do what Foresta says, which is put it in your hand and keep it warm. You don't want it getting cold quickly. That's the important part. Okay. That's it for this one. My buddy. Me to do more of these videos. But do remember, disclaimer here, I am not a vet. I'm not a licensed medical professional. I'm purely a person who's been breeding dogs for the last couple of decades. Any information that you got from this video, use at your own risk. There's nothing implied here, and certainly this should not be used as a substitute for advice from your veterinarian or your medical professional. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back for more of them. Frisky now, come on up here, Joel. All right.